Hey, and good Friday morning, everybody. Meteorologist Greg Majeski back with you here on the Weather Notes YouTube channel with a weather update here on the Weather Report here on your October 24th, 2025. Hard to believe we're only a week away from Halloween. Can you believe it? Boy, this year's going by fast. Well, we got a lot to get into for this update for you for today. Obviously, we got some storms in the Texas we got to talk about. We have severe weather potential for today. That'll be for a couple days there. We got to give you the latest on Melissa, and I'm really concerned. And you guys who watch this channel know I do not play the hype game, but I'm telling you, this potential storm could be very devastating for the island of Jamaica. I mean, not only a loss of life and property, the flooding could be immense. It's just all the gradients there just look very badly. And the storm is getting better organized this morning, so I'm going to break it down there for you there. And then we're going to talk about the weather pattern shift in the wake of this hurricane. Once it goes by, it looks like the eastern third is going to start November off a bit on the chilly side, while you folks in the middle of the country have been dealing with kind of above normal temperatures. That looks like that's going to linger here as we go into the new month. Now, before we get rolling into this full update, if you're new here to the channel, again, let me introduce myself as meteorologist Greg Majeski. And again, I'm your no-nonsense weather guy. I do not play every storm as the storm of the century like some of the bigger channels out there do, and they're kind of in your face and telling you this is huge, this is bad, this is terrible. I don't play that game here. We give it to you weather information, we keep it to you straight, and keeping you prepared and not scared. That's our motto here. And if it works, it works. If it don't, it don't. But I just don't like playing the hype games, guys. I just like to keep it too straight. All right, so let's go ahead and get into the highs and lows yesterday. We had Rio Grande Valley once again down there in the Rio Grande, Texas, 101 degrees, and Harrison, Nebraska, hit 17 yesterday. Hope I said that right. Hope I can't read my own writing. It's pretty bad. So anyway, that was our high and low yesterday. You can see we got some thunderstorms. There are 10,000 people without power in Dallas. They had some pretty good thunderstorms blow through. A lot of lightning going through there today, earlier this morning. So they got a lot of people without power this morning because of those thunderstorms. You can see the storms up there in Oklahoma as well for this morning, with all the lightning showing up there on the satellite imagery. Looking at your storm system here, look at your surface map. This is what we'll be tracking here. That's going to be tracking across the south. It's going to be bringing some rains there across some needed areas that need it. We've had drought conditions out there. Got a little weak system up here across portions of New York, providing some rains there, and a healthy storm system out here on the west coast moving on here and here as well. And this energy here is going to tag team with this other energy here, and going to be bringing a healthy storm and move it off the eastern seaboard and take the hurricane out with it. So we got a set of dominoes to kind of track here as we go here into the next few days and going into next week. Now, current watches and warnings, obviously we got the cold air here across the Midwest and into parts of the South. Got a lot of freeze warnings out there. We do have some flash flooding concerns here across Oklahoma and Texas. We'll give you an update on the rainfall amounts expected there. Windy, got some and higher elevation snows there across the Cascades, across Washington State, down into portions of California. Looking a little windy there as well. So that's our current threat levels out there. Now, the big news story obviously has got to be what's going on out in the tropics. And one thing I will say, looking at the satellite imagery this morning, this looks better than it did yesterday. It's a healthy sized storm that could be coming to form here. I would say it's probably still into a little bit of wind shear, but I'm starting to see a decent outflow, the fanning of the air evacuating out the top there. So as the air starts to spin inward, it'll start to squeeze off. And I think we're getting real close to where I think within the next 24 hours, we may see some rapid intensification of the storm, as it's still expected to become a major hurricane, may flirt with Category 4 status as this thing gets very close to the island of Jamaica. Check out the latest track here. And again, it's moving at east-southeast at 1 miles per hour. It's not moving much. Okay, top winds at 45 miles per hour. It's just starting to get its act together. And notice by the time we get to tomorrow, by 2 o'clock, the forecast is for it to become a hurricane. And then just 24 hours after that, a major hurricane. So again, the water temperatures down here are pretty warm. And right now they do have the tropical storm warnings up for Jamaica right now. Hurricane watches are up. Again, this is going to be a fairly large storm. Even the island Hispaniola is going to be hit by this. And then eventually coming in toward Cuba. So again, we got multiple, not just Jamaica. I know it was focusing on Jamaica because that's where its good proximity is, but we're talking island Hispaniola, Cuba, and even some of the Bahamas are going to get hit with this as well as this comes on through. So it's going to be, looks like, again, this is today's Friday, and we're still dealing with down here going into Wednesday next week. So it's going to be a very, very slow mover, and that's a dangerous combination there. So again, what we're waiting on for this system is we've got this energy back here. This is going this way. we've got some more energy that's going to dive down this way, and we're going to see some sort of low or something kind of form up and take off. So we got a big trough coming in here that's going to pick this storm up and swing it on out into the Atlantic. So that is the dominoes that are going to fall. Once it does, in its wake, we're going to have a nice big trough here in the east, similar to what we saw with, say, Hurricane Aaron earlier in the hurricane season. We'll have a nice cool down here in the east. It'll be much colder, though, obviously, since we're deeper into the fall season now with the cool air above. So here is the current track on this. Again, you can look at the east. This is the Easton's ensemble model. You can see that they're very clustered together here. But the one thing I want you to notice here, as it accelerates and takes on off into the Atlantic, you're going to notice a lot of pink in there. And the reason why you get so much pink in there is because it's expected to be a major hurricane, a very powerful one heading on out as it slides around this area of high pressure. Here's our high kind of sitting out here. I'll let that loop one more time for you here as this comes on through. So it's gonna find the weaknesses. We got a trough that's kind of sitting in here, and it's like a bowling ball. It's gonna look for that path of least resistance. It's gonna slide right through there and kind of slide up to the north there. So it's gonna go on out off the shore, and then we're gonna have a nice little cool down on the back side of this thing as this thing clears on out. All right. So that is the latest on the season. Again, we're getting almost the end of the season. We got 5 more weeks to go, and hopefully this is the last big one we have to deal with here. But at least it's not going to hit the continental United States. Now we still have the air disturbed weather out in the Pacific. Don't have to worry about this thing, as it's way out here and not a major player. So we're going to worry about the Pacific side here for right now. Now let's go ahead and talk about the thunderstorms threats for today. Let's talk about that. Let's look at this. Here's your day 1 outlook from the Storm Prediction Center. So we're talking about Abilene, San Angelo, San Antonio's in this as well. Parts of Dallas is in this. They've had some storms this morning, but this is our target zone here for today, for your Friday. And let's go ahead and break it down by the category. So here's your tornado threat, obviously running about 5% in this zone. I've noticed several chasers that I kind of monitor are heading out this area, getting set to see if there's anything they'll see as far as potential tornadoes for today. The wind threat will be in the same zone, obviously running 15% where that slight risk is running. And there'll be a hail threat with this as well. Same general zone. I'd say, golf ball, maybe getting up to tennis ball size. I think mostly golf ball size hail with this. The way it's looking, 60 to 70 mile per hour winds are in the cards for this day 1 outlook. What about day 2? Let's go into day 2. Let's shift this. This will shift to the Gulf Coast area here a little bit. So we're talking about Houston over to Baton Rouge, getting close to New Orleans. So some pretty heavy rains down this way as well, as we're going to be dealing with the storms here. We'll break down the categories for tomorrow as well for Saturday. So still dealing with that tornado threat here along the Gulf Coast from Galveston over to Baton Rouge, getting near New Orleans. There is that. And of course, your wind threat will be in the same general area. That's where your slight risk is sitting. And the hail threat, probably not quite as high. A little back over toward Texas there. Not so much into Louisiana going into your Saturday. Now, what about your day 3? Let's check out day 3. Day 3 kind of again shifts along the Gulf Coast and down just a marginal risk. So we're talking Hattiesburg, Pensacola, Mobile, New Orleans in this going in toward your Saturday. Okay, so this will be a chance of some hefty thunderstorms there. I'm really concerned about some of these storms kind of stealing some of the rain. I'm hoping to get up across my area, across North Georgia, but we'll track that through the weekend. We'll see what happens with that. All right, let's go look at the excessive rainfall. Well, again, this has been, I've been calling this year the year of the flood. We've had so much bad flooding this past summer, so I do like to keep a watchful eye on the flooding potential. And you're seeing that. We had the flash flood watches I showed you there, and this is obviously for your day 1 outlook here across Oklahoma and through Texas for your day 1. Day 2, this will shift down again where the thunderstorms will be the highest concentration, going from Arkansas, Louisiana, and Texas. And then day 3, it kind of backs off a bit, but we do have a marginal risk here going up toward Tennessee, Mississippi, Alabama. Again, we've been kind of in drought conditions across the South. I think it could take some of the decent rains to come in this area. It shouldn't be too big of a problem there across portions of the Southeast. All right, let's go get into the model data. Let's break this down for you here as we're going to be looking at the NAM 3 kilometer, latest one that hot off the presses here. So we'll take a look at this. And you folks in the Northeast, well, you guys are going to be kind of chilly. You got that, I see the 540 freezing line sitting up in this area. So I know it's going to be cold there. Again, we'll be watching this storm system slowly but surely track across the south central U.S. and into the central portion of the country. This is where the heaviest rains are going to be as this disturbance kind of rides this way. It's going to wait for this next system upstream to kind of catch up with it. and kind of kick it off the eastern seaboard there. But like pretty good healthy rains, a very vigorous storm system moving here on the west coast. It's going to be very breezy, heavy higher mountain snows there. Northern California get on the action as well, so some decent snows there in the northwest. And even the folks in the northeast eventually might get a little snow as well. You'll see that on my snow outlook here in just a second there. But again, that's the southwest looks quiet, and Florida's not looking too bad here. Although it might get a little bit breezy with that hurricane developing to the south there across South Florida. All right, so let's look at your rainfall totals here. This takes us out for the next 60 hours, 6 to 2 o'clock on Sunday. Again, our main target zone is down here across the south central United States, so some decent heavy rains in here. 2 to 4 inches plus in those zones. And the west coast, we're talking Washington down to Oregon and Northern California. Limited rain chances pretty much everywhere else. Southwest is looking pretty quiet here going through Sunday. But if anywhere in from Kansas, Missouri, Arkansas, Oklahoma, Louisiana, Texas, those areas will see some healthy rain that's here going into the weekend. All right, let's look at your temperature profile here. The big thing I want to point out here on this is you guys here in this part of the country, you're going to continue to run your temperatures above normal. You'll cool down briefly, but you're still seeing that pattern there that we kind of been stuck in. You can't seem to really bring any really kind of cool air in there. And the long-range pattern continues to reflect that. And what we're going to see is these continued troughiness here in the east and kind of ridging out here in the west. So that's going to keep the west on the warm side as we look at their projections going into early November. So eventually you guys are going to get cold. You know it's coming. You're going to pay the price when that happens. But the blue is where we're seeing the freezing temperatures, by the way. You see that kind of chilly start there on your Friday. And they'll kind of shift over here, backs up a little bit there, a little across the Midwest a little bit there, seeing some of that cold. And then again, we got a nice wedge sitting up to the southeast going into next Monday. Oh, man, it's going to be miserable here in North Georgia going into next Monday. That's looking very likely. All right, let's talk about the weather pattern here. Again, everything here, as we've been talking the last couple of days, has not really changed. There's one modern change in this I do want to point out here as we go forward here. All right, so watching this piece of energy here. This is the energy that's bringing the thunderstorms and the threat here across the south, right through there. We're waiting for this other energy that's going to catch up with this. Here's our tropical system. We're going to kick it on out. Everything here is staying in place. It's not changed. No major changes on this. This goes on. We see that kind of swing on off. We see a little low there forming off the coast. There's a low that kind of forms in off the coast here and kind of swings up this way. Then we're going to take our hurricane, and then we got another piece of energy going to drop in behind this. So as this thing goes on by, we're going to have a nice trough in the east. So that's going to cool things down. There's the big trough. So there it is going in toward Halloween and going in toward the first. So there's our jet stream going like this. Nice little cold shot coming on right down there. So that's going to keep us chilly in the east. All right, warmer there in the west. Obviously, you see the big ridging there across the west. This moves out. The difference from yesterday is yesterday it was not bringing another shot down, but now it is bringing this another shot down here once again, where again you guys here in the west are going to stay warm. So we're looking at another big trough coming in down like this. Again, a very progressive weather pattern here. Eventually, this stuff's going to line up where it's going to tap some Gulf moisture, and we're going to see some active weather. I fear, but it looks like the cold pattern is going to stay in place through at least the 6th and 7th of November in the east and milder in the west on the latest European model. So there was only one change there is toward the end yesterday it was trying to kind of warm it up across the big part of the country. Now it's bringing the cold shot down. So we'll track that for tracking purposes going into next week. So here's our loop. I got this loop in 10 days so you can watch the tropical system go out. And once that clears on out, because of the ridging, what's going to happen is that these storm systems are going to track in off the west and go this way. So what that means, we're going to have a lack of storm systems coming across the country. So that means we're going to see dry conditions expand once again across the middle of the country. So once this hurricane goes on by, there's our little disturbance kind of riding in across the southeast. We get a little low there forming up to the northeast. Look at that going in toward Wednesday next week. Now this may drop some snows here across portions of New York State here. We got a pretty cold low. There's an upper level low here diving into this. So that could provide some snows next week potentially there. And that kind of moves on up, and then a hurricane kicks on out. And when it does, because of the big trough, again, because of what we're seeing, these storm systems are going to go this way, and then we're going to see this big cool down here in the east, but we're not going to have any major storm systems, okay? It means we're going to see dry conditions across the southwest, south central, kind of expanding out here as we go for the next 10 days. All right, so here's the rainfall. This is predominantly next 7 days here, going right through Halloween. Again, we're talking about the south central and southeast getting the rain there. Obviously, the Pacific Northwest with a few active storms there. With that low pressure coming into New England, drops some healthy rains there. but the Southwest stays dry. You got a weak system up here across the high plains a little bit, but the Midwest looks dry. Like from Illinois over to Ohio looks pretty dry, and into Wisconsin, and a lot of the West is going to be dry, except for the areas where they're getting that pounding from the storms moving in on the Pacific Northwest and then kind of sliding up into Canada. All right, so here's the snows. Again, you get snows out here in the higher Cascades and into the west. The one thing that's popped out that was new was this up here into areas of New York State. Yeah, look at that. We got snow showing up in the higher mountains into New York State. So we're talking not a ton, 3-6 inches. So we got snow showing up for the first time going in toward, looks like Wednesday, Thursday of next week. And even try to get some snows down here into West Virginia for the first time. But out here on the west, obviously, this is where the heavier snows will be. Check out these totals, 32 inches. I see green, we're going to see a lot there. And again, a lot of this tracking up into Canada. Again, you see more and more of the snows kind of expand. I kind of watch the snows up into northern Canada and Alaska to see what kind of snowpack we get. It does impact the depth of the cold air as it builds over that area. All right, so again, got this loop in here for the next week or so here, so you kind of see the trend here. Again, the area up here is going to stay mild for the most part. Again, we're not getting the real cold stuff yet. It's still in the end of October. We haven't really got into winter just yet, but it looks like the east is going to stay on the cool side. Texas is going to stay above normal. We're going to see the mild air here. You see it keep pulsing up here in the middle of the country. We're not really getting the real significant cool down there. You'll have some cool mornings, but by late October standards, you're definitely going to see above normal temperatures kind of holding on into those zones. Mild across the Gulf Coast, obviously, and South Texas still pumping the 90s there a little bit, although it does back off there toward the end of next week. All right, so let's look at your climate outlook here. Again, this is hot off the presses yesterday. It was good to see them finally come back and highlight what I was talking about here. So you kind of see, again, the below normal temperatures here in the southeast, see that, and warmer out in the west. And this is not going to change right now. Oops, sorry about that. As it looks like that's going to continue on going deeper into the month of November through November 6th. And the European is supporting that. I concur with this. So again, we're looking at warm here in the west and cold here in the southeast especially. Now, the bad news here is the precipitation is this part. Remember I was showing you that track was going northward here. So we're going to see dry weather here really kind of expand out here across the big part of the country here. So it's wetter here in the east, wetter in the northwest, but it's going to stay dry there, folks. And that's going to just continue deeper into the month because the storm track is taking it through the northwest up into Canada, and we're not getting that stuff coming in across our area there. So again, we'll have to watch what happens with that. Not sure where that's coming from, but anyway, not sure where that music all of a sudden decided to pop on in there, but something got turned on there. So anyway, that's what we're looking at right now. So again, deal with this one system. We got these two systems coming on through, and it looks like as we go into November, the pattern's going to get quiet again. It's going to get quiet. It's going to be dry. We're going to deal with some cool temperatures here in the east and warmer weather out in the west. Again, my forecast for this winter, I'm telling you, I was saying it looked like it was going to be one of extremes of warmth and cold, and I'm staying with that solution. I still think we're going to have potential. We're seeing some active severe weather now at the end of October. I think we're going to go probably a couple weeks, well, at least 2 weeks into November, it's looking right now, where we're getting nothing until the pattern changes again. And then I think we'll get active again with severe weather going later into the fall. So we'll see how it works out. Hey, good to see you. Hey, Rustin's out there this morning. Ryan, Rita, good morning, Rita. G-Bro, good to see you, man. Good to see you guys out there this morning. Appreciate you guys checking us out this morning, getting y'all ready for the weekend. And I probably will be doing some hurricane updates. I'll go switch over to hurricane central mode starting tomorrow. And I'll start doing some updates on the hurricane through the weekend. I don't normally do updates, obviously, on weekdays when I do these reports. But since it looks like we're going to have a pretty major hurricane there, I'll probably look for some Jamaica cameras that I'll put on there. But I'll start doing some hurricane. We'll go switch into hurricane central mode, and we'll start doing our updates starting tomorrow. All right, that's it for now. You guys take it easy. Be good, stay safe, and we'll see you soon. You guys take it easy. Have a great day.